Hi everyone, welcome to ABC Interactive English. I'm Mike.
And I'm Sam.
And we're back with The Baker's Daughter, Part 3. She is not a nice baker's daughter, and maybe not even a good baker, because the last thing that happened was she burned some bread. I think she did it on purpose.
Yeah. I mean, she lied. So technically the bread is probably okay.
Oh,
She's probably hiding it somewhere.
That's true. And she told the old lady. That's right. She told the old lady it burned. And so, yes, if it is true, she's not a very good baker, but I think she's just a mean person. But we also discovered yesterday that our good friend Sam here, you are a baker, a home baker.
Yes,
Have you ever burned anything? Not on purpose because you're mean, but just by accident. Because, you know, as you're learning how to become a cook or a baker, you might make some mistakes and it happens.
Yes, and so baking, one of the kind of annoying things about baking is one, you have to spend a lot of time in the beginning measuring everything perfectly, getting it all ready. All that time takes a lot of time to get it all set up.
Right, baking's kind of a science.
Yeah.
Everything has to be in the right amount to get the end thing you want.
Yes, and if you're off on a little bit, then it doesn't cook the correct way, and then it's easier to burn. Or for example, if you're making like cupcakes, and these cupcakes have slightly less batter, which is uncooked cupcake.
Like the dough.
Yeah, the dough. And so if this one has less and this one has a little bit more, then you put it in the oven. The whole oven is the same temperature, so this one might be uncooked and this one might be burned. So it can be a very frustrating process when you've spent a lot of time and you can't wait for your cupcakes, and then you've got burned cupcakes and uncooked cupcakes.
Interesting.
So everything is a lot more detailed, has to be kind of closer to perfect to make everything taste the correct way. And
and I guess if you do burn things or make mistakes, almost everything is no good now. You have to start all over again.
There's not a lot you can save if you've burnt it. So.
Yeah, I don't bake a lot. I mean, I do burn my toast sometimes in the morning. I have a piece of bread. I can save that. You can get a knife and kind of scrape off the black part, which is not really great, but in the morning, if you're busy, you're in a hurry, it might be okay. But certainly baking things and burning things does not make for delicious food. In fact, you have to throw most of it away. Let's get back to our story and we'll find out if the baker's daughter can A, make some bread without burning it, and also, more important, B, get this bread to the hungry old lady who just needs some help. Give her some bread, baker's daughter. Give us the article. Let's go.
That happened 2 more times. Each time, the girl used a smaller and smaller piece of dough. Also, each time, the loaf grew bigger and bigger. However, the old woman saw the last loaf. When she asked for it, the girl wouldn't give it to her. The old woman knew that. She was a fairy and saw the girl's tricks.
All right, The Baker's Daughter, Part 3. It's our final part. We're going to have to get some bread into this old lady by the end of the article, I hope.
Hopefully, yes, because we know that she's hungry.
She's hungry.
We know that she has already asked, and we've baked her some bread, but the daughter was surprised that it turned out bigger than she thought it would. And so she lies and says, sorry, the dough burned, because she probably wants to keep that big bread, and she doesn't really want to give it to the old woman. So then the old lady says, can you try again? And so the girl does try again, and if we keep reading, it says, that happened 2 more times, meaning that she had put some dough in the oven and it grew bigger or cooked up bigger than she was expecting, and she lied again.
She lied about dropping it in the fire again and again, 2 more times.
Yes, and so then it continues on and it says, each time the girl used a smaller and smaller piece of dough.
Okay.
Also, each time, the the loaf grew bigger and bigger. So she's trying really hard to just give this old woman just a teeny tiny loaf of bread, but every time she uses a smaller amount of dough, it grows bigger and bigger, almost like magic.
Yeah, that is very, very unusual.
Yes.
Something weird's going on.
Yes, something weird is definitely going on. And we have this word grow in our sentence, to grow bigger and bigger. Grow just means, it's a verb that means to get bigger, to grow. If we talk about kids growing up, they get older and bigger and stronger. If we talk about flowers growing, then you give them water and sun and they get what they need to grow up and get bigger. And in this case, we're talking about dough, and as it cooks, it will grow in size. It doesn't just stay as a teeny little thing, it grows and grows and grows. So when you grow, if something has been added to you, time, food, energy, sun, heat, whatever it might be, and then that thing is getting bigger.
That's right. It's a slow, natural process. I mean, you could look at that new building in your neighborhood. Oh, the building is growing every day. It's not really growing, of course. It's just getting bigger because the workers are adding to it. But it's the same kind of idea. But really, growing is a natural thing. Plants grow, people grow, animals grow. Do mountains grow? Not really.
I think
they just get bigger.
Yeah.
Not really the same type of verb.
Probably not.
And certainly not things, you don't grow a computer, you build a computer, and that gets bigger in that way. Growing more of a natural thing. Back to the article. However, the old woman saw the last loaf. She could see into the back of the bakery when the girl took, and this loaf was probably much bigger than the ones before. So here's the girl getting this huge loaf of bread out of the oven, and the old lady's like, hey, I can see that bread. It's huge. Give it to me. I'm so hungry. But of course, all the other times the girl lied about it, but this time it was harder to lie, because the old woman saw the bread with her own eyes. And it says, when she asked for it, that's the old woman, when she asked for it, the girl wouldn't give it to her. No, it's not big, it's not your bread, you don't see this. I don't know what she's doing, but she's just continuing to be mean to this old woman and continuing to not give her any food.
Yes, and so if we continue, it says the old woman knew that.
Because she's a mean person.
Yes, she knew that the baker's daughter was not going to give her the bread, even though she can see it, even though it's right there, even though she used just a tiny bit of dough and got a huge piece of bread, she still is not going to give that to the old woman. And the old woman knew that. Because why?
Because she's no fool.
Nope. And because she was a fairy and saw the girl's tricks.
Excuse me, what?
Yeah, so this old woman is not a regular old woman. She is a fairy.
Like Tinkerbell from Peter Pan?
She is a fairy. And so fairy is a noun, and it is a kind of mythical person. And this kind of person is kind of like magical, and maybe can use, in this case, can use magic because she's making the bread grow and grow and grow. And yeah, they usually look like people. They're usually small.
No, they're usually little and they fly around and go, thing, magic.
Depends on but a lot of fairies have magic to maybe change how they look.
I see. Okay, so she's not an old woman. She's not hungry. She's there to kind of test this family, this daughter. I see. Okay. Because, when you're a fairy, you can do weird things that don't really make sense to me or you because, you're a fairy.
A magical creature.
Magical
mostly
woodland.
In stories.
In stories, in fairy tales. I think fairies, they live in the woods.
Yeah.
Right? I think they've also been known to play little tricks on people, that kind of thing. But generally, they're kind. They're not scary. They're not monsters. They're not, going to do terrible things. But they might play little tricks on you. and it seems that the fairy is playing a trick on the girl because the girl and her father are always tricking their customers. Now, of course, when you're doing this, you are tricking your friends. We use it as a verb very frequently, but also what you are doing, your little plan, is a trick, all right? So if you trick someone, you played a trick, and we often use the verb to play a trick on your friend, and that trick is the little confusing thing, the little thing that makes them think this when that's true. That is a trick. You are tricking the person. All right, we're going to take a break, and that's no trick. That's the truth. We're going to be back in a few minutes or even a few seconds for the end of this story when hopefully the old lady / fairy finally gets some bread.
Then, the old woman took out her wand and touched the girl. The girl turned into an owl and flew out the door. Nobody saw the baker's daughter ever again.
Okay, so we know now that this old woman is not a normal old woman. She is a fairy. She must have some kind of magical powers because it doesn't make sense that a small amount of dough is turning into such a large loaf. And this last loaf that the baker's daughter took out of the oven, the old woman saw it and said, "Hey, give me some of that." And she said, "No, you can't have it."
That's right. And that's when the old woman revealed herself to be a fairy and not just a hungry old lady looking for some help. Then we read the old woman, the fairy, took out her wand, ding, and zing, touched the girl. That's right. Fairies often have wands, and that is what they use to do magic with because, well, that's what wands are for. Of course, not in the real world. I'm sorry, Harry and Hermione and Ron and the rest of you Potterland people. But basically, it's a stick that you hold in your hand and you do magic with your stick, with your magic wand. What's the name of the wand shop in Harry?
Ollivanders.
Thank you. There you go. That's where you buy your wands. Now, of course, Harry Potter wands are famous. You can buy one if you go to Harry Potter Land. But in many other stories, we'll have people doing magic using a wand. I guess sometimes they use a staff, like a big long stick like Merlin or Gandalf from Lord of the Rings, but a smaller one. Usually they're just about, it kind of actually looks like what the guy leads the orchestra with, right? I think that's actually a baton, but it's similar. It's about that long. And yeah, you shoot fire or stars or whatever, magic out of the end of your wand. In a story, not in real life.
Not in real life. And a lot of times if you were to dress up as a fairy for like Halloween, you might have a wand that has a little star on the end. I feel like a lot of little girls' wands will look like that.
Cute.
But yes, that is a wand. And so now the girl probably knows she might be a little bit in trouble because she's been trying to trick a fairy.
Yes.
And so as we read, it says the girl turned into an owl and flew out the door.
Who?
Who?
Okay.
Who? The baker's daughter.
Right. All right. Who? Okay.
Nobody saw the baker's daughter ever again. So the baker's daughter.
Okay.
The baker's daughter.
Right.
And so this owl, this is what the animal that this baker's daughter turned into. And so an owl is a type of bird. It's a type of bird that mostly comes out at night. You probably know it as being very famous for having very big eyes and not being able to move its eyes, which is why it can turn its neck 270 degrees, I believe.
Really?
That's how far it can turn its head around.
More than me.
Can't go all the way around, but can go pretty close. So that is what she turned into an owl.
That's right. They often live in forests and probably the colder parts of the world, right? It's kind of like an eagle that needs a haircut. But that's an owl. It's a hunting bird, right? And also, I think they're also connected to wisdom. right?
Yes.
We often think of owls as being very wise and intelligent. I'm not sure why, it's a bird, but it does have that image. Anyway, so she turned this girl into an animal, into an owl, and now that she's an owl, the girl did what owls do. She flew, and to fly is to soar through the air using power and control. So you wouldn't say a balloon is really flying. It's kind of floating in the air. But if you have wings, if you have a way of going up and down and side to side and coming down to the ground and controlling yourself like a bird, like an airplane, like a helicopter, something like that, or like a fly or a mosquito, you are flying. If you can fly, well done. You have some magical power, or maybe an airplane, or maybe just a ticket to go on an airplane. But in that case, you are still flying.
Yeah, you would say that you're flying. Like, I'm flying back to America, things like that, because that's taking an airplane and going up in the air and going.
True.
You are not personally flying,
really.
And you're also not flying the airplane.
There you go.
But we still use it in that way.
It's true. Animals can fly, and pilots can fly airplanes or helicopters or stuff. But yes, people, we do say we're flying, even if we're just traveling through the air in some kind of controlled way. Not falling. Not falling out of a tree. That's not flying. That's falling. All right, that's it for today, guys. So fly away to your nearest bakery. Be kind to hungry old ladies, because you never know if they might be a fairy. And if you see an owl, make sure it gives you the right amount of bread. Is that the lesson from today?
I don't know.
Be honest.
I think that's
Be honest and be nice to old folks, because you don't know if they might be a fairy and turn you into an animal. But actually being an owl might not be so bad.
Owls are pretty cool, I think.
I also wonder, where is the baker going to think his daughter went?
Also, he was gone for a long time.
He wasn't in the story,
No.
really. No,
Maybe
interesting
the baker's
story.
daughter should have just had a name.
I think we should go to the bakery, buy some delicious bread, and eat it while thinking about this and talking about it.
I think so.
Fly away. Let's fly away to the bakery. Take care, guys. We'll see you back here sometime soon. Until then, be well, be kind to everyone, and will enjoy yourselves. Bye.
That happened 2 more times. Each time, the girl used a smaller and smaller piece of dough. Also, each time, the loaf grew bigger and bigger. However, the old woman saw the last loaf. When she asked for it, the girl wouldn't give it to her. The old woman knew that. She was a fairy and saw the girl's tricks. Then, the old woman took out her wand and touched the girl. The girl turned into an owl and flew out the door. Nobody saw the baker's daughter ever again.
Hi, I'm Tina. 我们来看这一课的重点单字。第一个 grow， 动词增大、增多，它的三态是 grow, grew, grown。Football's popularity continues to grow. 足球运动受欢迎程度持续增长。Popularity 指的是流行、受欢迎。下一个单字 trick， 名词把戏、诡计。It's a trick. That man is a magician. 那是个把戏，那个男人是一个魔术师。下一个单字 touch， 动词碰触。Don't touch the machine. It's hot. 不要碰那台机器，它很烫。最后一个单字 fly， 动词飞，它的三态是 fly, flew, flown。The bird couldn't fly because it was sick. 这只鸟不会飞了，因为它生病了。接着我们来看重点文法。第一个 two more times， 又2次，再2次。More 是形容词，表示更多的。Time 指的是次数的时候，是一个可数名词。Two 可以用其他数字来代替，比如 one more time 指的是又1次 ，10 more times 再10次等等。我们来看看这个例句 ：Vincent called me 3 more times. Vincent 又打了3次电话给我。下一个文法 smaller and smaller， 越来越小的，这是一个形容词比较级，形容词加 er 的一个用法。 表达的是程度更怎么样的。Smaller 是 small 的形容词比较级，指的是更小的。形容词加 er and 形容词加 er 表示越来越怎么样的。我们来看看这个例句 It turned into a bigger and a bigger problem. 它变成一个越来越大的问题。最后一个文法 A turns into B, A 变成 B. Turn 是变成成为的意思。我们来看看这个例句 When water freezes, it turns into ice. 当水冻结的时候，它会变成冰。Freeze 指的是结冰。以上就是这一课的重点单字跟文法，我们下一课再见，拜拜。
Today we're going to learn about decorative tiles. Now, decorative tiles are tiles with artistic patterns. They can usually be found on the roof or walls of old Taiwanese buildings. Now, you can't really see them that often nowadays, but the Museum of Old Taiwan Tiles in Chiayi works hard to retrieve them. Let's learn about it.
Decorative tiles are tiles with artistic patterns. These man-made colored tiles dot the roofs and walls of old Taiwanese buildings. Decorative tiles make buildings more beautiful. They are also a display of the owner's status. Some of the richest families even believe that these tiles symbolize good luck. In Taiwan, the patterns are usually of auspicious fruits and animals. In the old days, decorative tiles were a costly imported product. Only the rich could afford them. Then, Japan produced its own patterns and designs in Taiwan that were tailored to the tastes of its exports market. However, their production ceased when Japan took part in the Pacific War. Nowadays, many of Taiwan's old tiled buildings have been demolished. To preserve these delicate tiles, the Museum of Old Taiwan Tiles located in Chiayi works hard to retrieve them. Preserving decorative tiles is a difficult, time-consuming task. They must make a record of the building, remove the tiles, deliver and store them in a warehouse, and then clean them up for display. Thanks to their efforts, these decorative tiles have been successfully preserved. The preservation of these decorative tiles help retain a part of Taiwan's architectural history. They give us a window into the beauty of Taiwan's historic buildings. Through the exhibition and cultural and creative repurposing of these decorative tiles, the culture that they are tied to can continue to survive.
Thanks to the efforts of the museum, now these decorative tiles have been successfully preserved. So that means that people nowadays can still enjoy the beautiful tiles as well. Now, this is all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.